Hi there. My name's Tim Brennan. I'm Richard's son, and I'm also the inventor of a shoe called the VivoBarefoot shoe, which is a shoe which was inspired by the Alexander technique. It's a shoe which I believe helps to improve posture, but that's not actually the reason why I invented the shoe in the first place. It's just something that was like a side effect. But the real reason why I designed it was because I had a problem with my ankles. And as a very keen tennis player, as a teenager, I kept twisting my ankles repeatedly. Both ankles I must have twisted, each one half a dozen times or more. I lost count. And each time I twisted my ankles, the pain was very bad, but worse still would mean that I wouldn't be able to play tennis for weeks afterwards. So it was, painful, and it was reducing my freedom to do the thing that I wanted to do. So just wait for the slide. Oh, wrong button. So this is the problem I suffered. I didn't actually tear the ligaments, but I strained them very badly, and I would actually go over the side of my foot. And the thing that's missing in this picture is the shoe. And something that I got from what my dad was talking about with the Alexander technique was that he had a bad back, and he attributed that to the fact that he was a driving instructor, and he would sit in a car seat for several hours every single day, and ended up with sciatica, I believe. And in the end, he came to the conclusion that it was the car seat sloping backwards that was contributing to the problem. So with that kind of principle, I said, well, maybe my shoes are causing me to twist my ankles. And I really believed that from a young age, but really couldn't do anything about it because there wasn't a product on the market that I could go and buy that was like having bare feet. So when I got to university, I was studying product design course at Imperial College and the Royal College of Art. And as soon as I had an opportunity to do something and make some prototypes, that's exactly what I did. I started having Alexander technique lessons because my posture was very bad, and I was spending 13, 14 hours a day on a computer trying to do my project work. And I started having Alexander technique lessons for my neck pain, which was unbearable. And after my neck pain was fixed, the Alexander teacher, who was Colette Lyons, she taught me to walk in a way which was very much like the way a child walks, without restriction, and going up onto the ball of the feet to propel yourself forward with every step. And what was really interesting was when I put my shoes back on after the lesson, because we did the lesson without shoes on, I would be walking home and I would realize that it was becoming more and more difficult to do that going up onto the ball of the feet, and I was losing my posture that I was really enjoying. So I started to research the idea, and it turned out that shoes actually reduce the angle that you go up onto the ball of the feet from 55 degrees, which is natural, to only about 25, something like that. So this is one of the prototypes that I made. This is just pieces of leather that I sewed together at the Royal College of Art. I used to borrow their sewing machines in the fashion department, and I've found some neoprene, which is wetsuit material, which is nice and stretchy, and I made a sock which had a zip, and it didn't really look much like a shoe or a sock, but it was somewhere in between the two. And I played tennis in it, and very quickly I wore the sole out because it was only thin leather. So I started to make shoes with replaceable soles. And on the way to tennis matches, I would go to the top of the double-decker bus and lace on a new sole made of the thinnest material that I could use that was still, slightly durable for a one match. And I would lace it on. I would hole punch all the way around the upper. I didn't have time to make upper, so I cut the upper off of a tennis shoe and hole punch all the way around, and then just lace on the thin leather sole, so it would look like a tennis shoe. No one would kind of think anything of it, but at the same time I'd have like a barefoot kind of sole to it. So then this was becoming quite a big thing for me at the college, and the lecturers and tutors were saying, you can't just base it on your experience, you have to go and research. So I spent a long time in the summer of 2001 in the British Library, and I had all access to all the medical journals, and I was looking through and seeing if any scientist had looked at bare feet and whether it was beneficial on a large scale, whether I could justify my experience. And there's some very interesting papers. I found out that a large proportion of the world's population don't wear shoes, and all of the foot problems that are commonly associated are all kind of in the kind of segment that wear shoes. And people who are too poor to buy shoes, live in other countries where it's not common, they are free from all of these defects that are very commonly seen. So I was getting kind of more and more backing up to go ahead with the project. And eventually I took my idea, after I graduated, I took my idea to the Clark's family. And this is Lancelot and Galahad Clark. Those are their real names. Galahad, son of Lancelot. And we set about designing, a barefoot shoe, which I had called Vivo. And the reason why I called it Vivo, because it's a Latin word which means in a living thing, and scientists use that word to kind of for science that is done in living things. And so because I'd invented the shoe based on what I was feeling with my own feet, I called it Vivo. So I signed a contract with them, and I now license the barefoot sole patent to the Clarks, and they're for sale in London under the name VivoBarefoot. They have their own shops. This is one of the very first shoes, very well worn, and it's this one here, and that was launched in 2004. So I'm going to tell you a few things about it. It has a very wide space for the toes, so that every time you put weight onto the ball of your feet, the natural expansion is allowed, which helps to trigger the plantar reflex, which is a crucial part of walking and running. The shoe is completely flexible, and most shoes are actually very rigid and don't bend in the right places, so they inhibit the ability to go up onto the ball of the foot, and therefore make walking far less efficient, and that's something which this shoe helps to correct. Because the sole is only 3 millimeters thick, it allows you to feel the ground very accurately, and that's important when you are trying to reduce the amount of shock going through the body, because if you can't feel the feedback through the soles of your feet, then you can easily overload your joints, and so that it gives you more sensory feedback. Before I took it to the Clarks, I took it to all these shoe manufacturers, and they all sent me rejection letters, or some of them offered me a job, but I really wanted them to license the idea off of me. So persistence paid off in the end, and I'll finish on this slide. This slide was taken at the All England Club. I sent 2 pairs of shoes to the referee of Wimbledon tournament and his wife, and they liked the shoes and offered me to go and visit the All England Club and play some tennis on the court. So that was a dream come true, and that's the end of my presentation.